evening, everyone. It is 5 p.m., almost 5:01 p.m. A meeting has been called to order. Notice of the meeting has been posted in a manner required by law. We do have a quorum here this evening. We're missing trustees Thompson and Paris, I believe. They both may join us a little bit later. So we will get started. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Please remain standing for the invocation led this evening by Trustee Russell Shaw.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you with gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community and its children. Grant us wisdom and understanding as we consider the needs before us, especially in the stewardship of the resources entrusted to our care. Guide our decisions so they reflect justice, compassion, and commitment to the common good. Help us to act with integrity, to listen with openness, and to work together in a spirit of unity and respect. Bless our schools, our teachers, our families, and especially our students, that they may grow in knowledge, character, and purpose. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Be seated. Let the record show that both trustees Thompson and Harris have joined us this evening. I don't believe we have any public comments, so I will turn it over to Dr. Jackson.
Good evening, Board President Martin, and to all of the Board Trustees. We thank you all for being here. And just a couple of things to kind of frame the conversation tonight, and certainly I will not be leading this workshop. This is a workshop for the board, and our Chief Financial Officer, Stacy McDowell, and our Executive Director of Human Resources, Ms. Paula Jackson, will take the lead in this. And but the board compensation workshop is a critical component of the district's governance and strategic planning process. One of the Board of Trustees and district administration's most important responsibilities is to ensure the development of a fair, competitive, and equitable compensation plan for the staff, who play a vital role in supporting student growth and achievement. The purpose of this workshop, as we all know, is to review current compensation structures, explore available options, and engage in thoughtful discussion regarding potential adjustments if there are any needed. Through this process, the administration seeks clear direction and informed recommendations from the Board of Trustees to guide the development of the compensation plans moving forward. These discussions are essential as the district works to build a responsible and sustainable budget that aligns with its mission and vision. Every decision that we make will be grounded in the district's unwavering commitment to excellence, ensuring that all students have the opportunity to reach their highest potential. What I like about this board and what I respect about this board is that what we do is always with the student mind and student focused and student centered, and we do appreciate this, and I do believe the LaPorte community appreciates this as well as the staff. As reflected in our vision, every student's success remains our top and number one priority, and the work undertaken in this workshop tonight is fundamental to advancing that goal, and we do appreciate you, board, for being here. All of the trustees, and we will now turn it over to our Executive Director of Human Resources, Paula Jackson.
Good evening. Good evening, President Martin and Board of Trustees, and Dr. Jackson and all of our team. Like Dr. Jackson said, we're here to just present to you some ideas, some facts, some data on some things that you can consider for the 26-27 school year. It's kind of hard to believe we're there. Okay, so our discussion topics for tonight are our special education program pairs. That's kind of where we'll start. Then we'll look into paraprofessional salary and district comparisons. Starting teacher salaries, and we have some district comparisons for that. We'll talk about the teacher retention allotment, which was as you remember from last year with House Bill 2, and how it affected our teacher pay scale and kind of the information about that. We'll talk about salary increase history for Porte ISD, and then just some possibilities and some scenarios for next school year and what those would look like. Along with your slides that you have there that we're going to go over, we also provided you with kind of a note-taking page. It's 2 pages stapled together. This just has our major talking points and then kind of a box or some space for you to take notes, write down any questions that you may have that come up. Certainly you're welcome to stop us at any time and ask questions, but sometimes you're thinking of things and you're thinking of ideas or like I said, questions that you may just want to jot down, and then we can just entertain those and look into those as needed. So use that if you'd like. If you don't need it, that's fine. We just wanted to provide you with somewhere you could jot down some notes. All right, so moving right into it, we're going to start with our special education program paraprofessionals. Just to provide you with some just baseline data of those positions. Remember, our program paras are those that work in our special programs with our highest need students. These are our adult transition paraprofessionals that work with our 18-plus program, our early childhood special education program that work with our young students, and then our other program paras that are housed on the campuses are our focus, which is our life skills classes, our BSP, which is those behavior students with behavior plans, and then our SAIL program for students with autism. So you can see we just broke down how many employees we have in those specific positions. Focus being our biggest, we have a pretty large program there at most of our campuses, and then you can see the breakdown: 64 total employees that work for LaPorte ISD in those positions. And then over on the right-hand side, we've just kind of gone through, starting back in 2012-2013 school year, of compensation changes that have occurred with your all support and approval of pay raises or even pay grade changes that have occurred over that. So you can see the changes there. So even back in 2012, our minimum was for that pay grade was $9.04. So we've come a long way now, and we'll talk a little bit more about what those pays are on the next page. But just focusing back on last year for the 24-25 school year, last year the board approved a $500 stipend for all program paras. And so that stipend was paid last year to those individuals who were employed in those positions, $250 at the December break, and then the other $250 was paid out at the end of the school year. And we got great feedback on that. We even, for the parameters of that stipend were, you had to be employed for the semester. You couldn't be employed in August and quit and then be paid out in December. It didn't work that way. You had to be a continued employee with us. But what we did do was, for, of course, our employees that started with us in August, they were, of course, paid the full amount. But, with paraprofessionals, we have vacancies all year long, and so we always want to fill those. And so part of attracting applicants, even in September, October, even in November, when needs arise, they still benefited from that stipend, not the full amount, but it was prorated. Okay, so we worked with our staff in our office and with payroll to make sure that those individuals did benefit from the stipend, just not the full amount if they weren't employed with us for the whole time, as you would understand. Same thing in the spring semester, so that those people were acknowledged and did get that part of that stipend.
Para average that's on here, that is just for this category of pairs that we're talking about, not all of our.
When you say average, are you?
You're on it, you're on. 65 to 70. 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 65 to 70.
Are you not?
Oh, I've already
Yeah.
looked.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, she's reading ahead. Love it. Love it. Okay, so now moving forward to this current school year, that stipend with the increase, the 5% increase for the approved stipends was increased to $525. So we paid out that first half of that in December, and we will pay out the second half of that at the end of the school year. And so,
Remind me who like gets this stuff. All 64 get that stipend?
yes, sir. All 64 and that are employed in those categories get that stipend. Okay? Okay. Now we'll talk about paraprofessional salaries. We'll kind of start over on the left side with the district comparisons. So we participate in our TASB salary studies. We have several salary studies that we do in our department, but one of them is our personnel salary stipend. So all the different jobs that we have in the district, we put in data for that survey, and then when we do that, we receive the data back for all the other districts who have participated in that survey. And so you can see we've got 10 or so districts, including LaPorte ISD, as far as their program paraprofessional. So this data for us is our program paras that I just showed you on the previous slide. And then for the other districts, it is their program paras also. It wouldn't include like an ISS para or PE para or other paras that work in a different pay grade. Okay, so this is just program paras for our district and for other districts. So you can see that where LaPorte ISD is. What I want to just, kind of draw your attention to, and you can see this, but just to bear for the crowd, that you can see that the student enrollment for all of the districts that we're comparing ourselves to, we're a small beacon of light in a large community of districts. And so, we feel like we're very competitive with our salary. That's our beginning salary for that pay grade, $14.31. But you can see the districts around us, their enrollment is twice as much, 3 times as much. So those bigger districts, even some of those bigger districts, our starting pay is more. But in some of these larger districts, they're employing more people, their tax base, whatever the reasons are, they have more students. And so we're a 5A in a 6A pool, if that makes sense. Yes, sir.
That's a tough question, but do we get paid additional income essentially by having for a sped student? So my understanding, I thought it was important. So we get more money for a sped student than we do for a quote unquote non-sped student. Mm-hmm. We pay less money, but. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So over on the right-hand side, you see what we did was we calculated, Stacy did this for us, she calculated the average hourly rate for our program paras that are employed with us. Because while some are hired in at the beginning salary, if they don't have any experience, many of our paras, and a lot of them do come to us with experience that we can give them salary credit for. And we look at that. When we're doing a hiring recommendation and we get that recommendation from the campus for a focus para or ECSE or whatever the program para, as with all of our jobs, we look at their resume, we look at their application, we look at their job-like experience, and we want to give them as much credit as we can. We don't overdo it, and we don't make up things to give them credit for. We would never do that. But we look at their job-like experience in those roles. Have they worked with students? Have they worked with special education students? We look at all those things, and we make them the most competitive offer that we can. So what I was saying to that is not all of our paras are brought in and currently paid at $14.31. That's just our beginning salary. So you can see that most of our paras, the average, our average is $16.54 per hour. And that also includes that $525 stipend. plus they're also, if they've been with us and they're eligible for, if there's a board-approved raise, they're also eligible for that as well. So, when you're just looking at the minimum salary, that wouldn't be the case for most of our program pairs, unless they joined us with no experience. And then we just made a note there of our pay grade 3. This is where our program pairs are currently. They work 187 days. Just like our teachers do, and then you can see the minimum, the midpoint, and the maximum pay structure for that pay grade. Okay. Okay, now we'll move over just to some historical information about our teacher salaries. You can see, and we provided this information to you last year, but we've now added, for the 25-26 school year. So you can see the 10-year historical on the left-hand side for our teacher starting salaries. This is again for a starting teacher that has 0 years of experience. A couple of years ago, we implemented our teacher pay scale, so it's consistent and even for, if we're hiring a teacher with 5 years of experience, this, the amount on the salary scale that's published in our compensation plan is the salary that they're given, and so forth. So you can see from 2016, our starting teacher salary has gone up a little over $10,000. Currently sitting at $63,000 for first year teacher beginning with no experience. And then on the right side, you see our salary comparisons, much like we did for our paraprofessionals. We've kind of listed out the districts, their enrollment size, how many teachers they have, and then what their 0-year salary is. So you can see that with some of our neighbors who have double what our student population is, we're very competitive with those districts that we tend to compete with. What I will say is, as we talk to applicants and we're onboarding teachers and professionals and whoever, all the people that we hire, particularly our teachers, when they come in and do their onboarding, we go in and we meet them, we sit and talk to them, tell them how glad we are that they're joining us in the Porte ISD. And what we hear from them is, whether they've been in a larger district or maybe they're moving and this is their first time here, what they love about LaPorte is it's a small community, it's a one high school town, it is personalized. They feel like that they're just already wowed with how much people already know them, want to get to know them, and want them to be a part of their campus culture. And so, is our salary competitive? Yes, but there are other extrinsic factors that go along with that are special and unique to LaPorte ISD that we're so proud of, and we love to hear that from our applicants. Just what we did at the bottom was just to kind of give you our average teacher base salary. So again, just like with our paraprofessionals, not all of our teachers come in at 0 years and are hired in at 63. Some come in with 10 years, some 20. 25, 15, it varies. So our average teacher salary for this school year is $72,785. And then if you look at, sometimes when you look at an annual salary, you think, well, a few $1,000s might make a big difference. And it does. Every penny counts, right, in today's economy and with prices of things today. But we kind of broke it down just to see, well, how much difference does it really make? And is that a factor for people? And so we looked at Alvin ISD, who has the highest beginning salary at $65,800. And we just kind of did like a daily rate. And what is the difference per day? And it worked out before taxes to about $14 a day. So really by the time you take taxes out and your TRS and all the things, it's I'm not going to say insignificant because every dollar counts, but again, with some of the other factors that LaPorte has going for us, we feel like it's
Offsets that.
it offsets that in a large way. Okay. Okay. On the next page, you have just some additional earning opportunities for teachers. along with that salary that we just talked about. We have our master's and doctorate addenda, which are $1,000 each. So if a teacher has a master's degree and/or a doctorate degree, we do award them $1,000 additional for each of those, and that is applied every year as they're employed with us. We have ESL certifications, UIL stipends. These are just a few examples. We have, in our supplements in the back of our compensation plan, we have hundreds of stipends and extra duty pays for different things. Athletics, academic, those are available for those who qualify for those. We also, again, are a TIA eligible district, and that is a great selling point and a recruiting tool for our teachers. This year, we've already hired, I know for sure one teacher who's coming to us as a designated teacher from another district. But we've already hired some last year too that, it's on their certificate, so we can see if they're a TIA designated teacher, if they have one of those designations. But our teachers that are currently with us, if you recall, last year was our first year for our TIA data collection, and so we're in the process this year of doing our first payout, and we're going to have 29 teachers across the district who will receive a payout in August. They'll receive that payout, and some of those amounts are very substantial, and so we're eager to share that information with them. Of course, we're in year 2 now of data capture, so we will have even more teachers next year at this time who will be finding out their allotments should they meet those requirements. TIA was not designed for every teacher, although we would love for every teacher to benefit from that. But our teachers who have been designated are going to certainly, we're certainly proud of them. They know that they are a TIA designated teacher, and they know that they've been recommended for a designation, and we're in the process of working through those final pieces of ensuring the amounts and things like that. Okay? And then you can just see on the right-hand side the district comparisons for those additional master's degree, doctorate, and that sort of thing. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, thank you so much. And now Stacy's going to come up and continue the remainder of the presentation.
Good evening, or good afternoon almost. We're still, this is early for us, right? So we're gonna jump in and speak about the teacher retention allotment. So this was part of the 89th legislative session that created this teacher retention allotment during it was a part of our House Bill 2 that had many different things a part of it, but this is one that was very beneficial to our teachers and for all districts in the state of Texas. So what the teacher retention allotment is teachers with 0 to 2 years experience, they did not qualify to receive this funding. Because again, in the name of it, it's retention. So the state's goal was to award and honor the teachers that have stayed with the teaching profession. We go to teachers with 3 to 4 years experience, they received $2,500. Teachers with 5+ years experience received $5,000 of a TRA increase. That $2,500 and that $5,000 is above their 24-25 salary. So the state said, okay, as of 24-25, whatever your salary is, not including any stipends, whatever your base pay is, depending on your years of service, you're going to receive the $2,500 or you're going to receive the $5,000. So this is not an additional $2,500 or $5,000 for this year. We paid this out in 25-26. So this past year, they all benefited from this increase. It is not next year they're going to get another $2,500 or $5,000 on top of what they're getting. They've already received it. They're going to continue to receive it. It's in their salary forever. We're not going to take it away. Even if the state goes and says, we're no longer funding this, because they're only funding it for 2 years until the next legislative session. But I believe in my heart, I believe that they will too, and I also believe that Porte ISD will always stand to do what's right for our teachers, and we will not pull something like that away from them. if we have the capacity to do that.
So pretty much they just moved the scale up. Everybody's scale went up 5,000, 5 year plus, everybody below 5 years.
And they're paying for it.
Right.
We are getting an allotment for that.
Right,
It's not
okay.
coming out of our funds. So yes, so the teacher pay scale that we created a couple years ago was adjusted to accommodate the TRA increase, so that going forward, when HR hires someone who is 7 years experience, that $5,000 is it's already a piece of it. And
So
that-
is, the teachers with 3 to 4 years experience, once they hit 5, they're gonna get an extra
We're-
$2,500? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Neil.
No, you're great.
I'm
You
gonna be
are
in.
on the roll. He's in. We're going to
Sorry.
touch on that. I have 4 different scenarios that we're going to walk through to explain what that means, and that is exactly one of them. And the answer is yes. I'm going to give you a little thing. So if we move on to, this is the teacher pay scale, and this is how it was built. So if you see on the left here, sorry, on the right, left, we have our years of experience. And then our next column is, this is what our teacher salary scale was for the 24-25 years. So if we just take the years experience of 0, in 24-25, the base salary was $61,000. The board approved last year to increase that by $2,000, so it became 63. So as you move on, then you have year 3, in 24-25, the base salary was $62,200 plus the $2,500, which $2,000 of that was your increase, but also the $500 to get to the allotment, and that gives us a starting salary for a teacher with 3 years' experience of $64,700. If you go down to the 5 years, it was $63,000 as in 24-25. Adding that $5,000, now a starting teacher's pay is $68,000 with 5 years' experience. So, just gonna read my notes real quick. So it benefits when a teacher is here longer. Obviously, their raises is built into it, just as Paula had mentioned. So this is the starting salary. This is the least amount a teacher in Porte ISD is going to make. This is not the, I'm making this. This is if they come into the district, they can go and look at this and say, okay, 10 years experience, I should be making at least $70,000. This is what we're going to offer you is $70,000. Somebody who's been with LaPorte for 10 years is making much more than $70,000 because they've benefited for every raise that the board has approved and provided. Moving on, we're going to go to our 4 examples here. So this is just going to walk through. So we have a teacher who is, teacher number 1 is 0 to 2 years experience, and they're hired in with LaPorte ISD, and so they're going to go, HR is going to go to the pay scale and say, okay, 0 years, $6,300, or $63,000. 2 years, $63,800. Because our steps are $400. That's how we built it whenever we created the teacher pay scale step and presented it to y'all. I believe it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, 2 years ago. That's what the board decided. We would have a $400 step between years. Teacher number 2 moves from 2 years to 3 years. So that $2,500 is going to be a part of it. So now their pay scale is $64,700 because, again, their 24-25 year was $62,200. So you add this $2,500 and that moves forward. Now we get to Mr. Shoppy's example of a teacher who is next year is going to move from 4 years to 5 years. They are going to get an extra $2,500. Their base pay is going to move up because their starting year salary, it was $6,300, but even before last year they had the $2,500 built into it. They were given the $2,500. This next year, if they're moving from years 4 to year 5, they're going to move up to another $2,500 this year. Yes, sir.
If we were to hire a teacher, like Deer Park, come over and have 10 years experience, they automatically start at 70, or is it, they're making a lot more in Deer Park, they still get that? Like, how does that work?
They would, I believe HR would say, okay, our base pay right here is $70,000. And then I don't know, I'm going to let you answer to that. What?
Right, so that's why we have our scale, so that we're consistent across the board. Generally, if someone came 20 years, 10 years, teachers, whatever it is, it's usually pretty comparable. Depending on raises that that district has given or not given. Or if maybe they were receiving stipends, as part of their total compensation, they're not going to get those stipends here. Very rarely is there like such a big discrepancy that causes someone not to take a job.
So there's not a lot of discretion, right? But is there discretion, like if you're like for an administrator, like they don't?
We don't have
Previously, it's
a,
pretty rigid, I guess, as I understand it, for like a teacher, but for administrative team, if they come in from another district, there's more leeway, is that?
We've worked, yes, we've worked with, I've been here, years I've been here now, Paula, or even when Angie was here, they're gonna come to me if it's that tight, we're not gonna allow somebody to make less money. We're not gonna do that, right? Now, we're not gonna tip the scale to where somebody that's been here for 20 years feels like now somebody just beat me at the game. But we're not gonna lose a great employee for $500 or $1,000 or something like that. So generally speaking, we can almost tap into what the actual true salary is without all the stipends, because TASB helps us
Yes.
to provide that. We can go into TASB and kind of look up basically what a base salary is. So if somebody says, I'm coming in at X, Y, Z, and we say, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. You can just go to TASB and kind of fill out. That may be so because of the additional stipends, right?
Yeah, they're the NHS
Yeah,
funds, or they're
but
the
it's not
whatever,
salary.
yeah.
And so we're paying salary, and then a lot of times we will help make certain that somebody, if they're coming in to coach or they're coming in to.
But
to
someone
academic,
coming in
something
at
else.
10
Yeah.
this year would also get this other 5,000.
no, they're not.
Well,
That is built in. That
built into
70,000 is
theirs.
already in.
Yeah.
That's why
What I
it's
was
not
getting ready to say is
75,
it follows
it's
them.
70.
What the state has given them follows them.
Yes.
I guess what I'm
Right, and
getting
that
at.
was a good, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That was a good point, because remember, this was a Texas state, a statewide House Bill 2 applied to all districts, so it wasn't an option. So if they're coming to us from another district, they've already got that
That salary is just automatically.
extra
paid
money
for.
embedded into their salary.
I guess what I'm getting at is, it's more of a question, because I don't know the answer, but it seems to be, like when we had our curriculum discussions a couple weeks ago, the idea was getting on the same page, because some new teachers don't have the kind of level of training that our teachers had 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So if we're just recruiting and having to hire, the majority of our new hires are coming like with zero experience. Seems to me like I'd rather have somebody from another district or seasoned veteran. But what I'm getting at, they're not gonna get a comparable salary to switch from Deer Park or Clear Creek or wherever it is, why would they come here? And if you're saying it's not an issue, okay, but like, I'm just curious,
We're not
we're hiring
losing
all
anybody.
gonna be like first-year teachers?
Yeah.
We have a percentage-wise, like, if we are 100 teachers, how many of them are brand new?
We can get that for you.
Yeah, well-
We can get that for you, but I can answer that question without looking at Stacy or Paul. We're not losing anybody behind salary. We're just not. If they really want to work in LaPorte, once they get to HR, principal likes them or we like them, we're going to make sure we make it right. But we're also going to respect people that have already been in the system.
Right.
So that we don't tip the scale the wrong way. But really, our districts, especially at that level, they're all comparable. They really are. They're all comparable.
He's really talking about from the attraction. Like, how are we attracting that top talent? Are we really, I mean, okay, so hiring anybody anywhere you're at, you are going to pay for the years you have, but you're wanting more experience if you can get it. You're not going to get that more experience,
I
budget wise.
So I've
You're
got
going to pay, you're like, oh, well, I'm trying to fit a budget, so I'm going to pay for this teacher instead of,
We're banking
we
on
want
that.
to make sure, how are we attracting that?
Yeah, we're banking on that
We're
$14
banking on that.
being negated with the intangible part of culture of the district.
And we also pay for some of their benefits too, so we
Right,
can't
yeah,
so
we're
there's
control
that
package.
that is
That's a draw.
a draw. I mean, that we actually do that, and I think we established
We are the
we're only
highest.
district around that.
We are the
we pay a lot
highest.
You
more
pay a lot more than
that
everybody else.
We
pays
pay-
as much as.
So,
And I would say also smaller class sizes, because typically in LaPorte, our class sizes are not, I mean, it's not all the time,
No.
I understand that,
but it is most of the time.
I'm just
but,
saying, we spend a lot of time, we want to get top-notch administrators, we love that.
Yeah.
We find some amazing,
Right.
you've done a great job with
Yeah.
that. But, again, I'm not saying that this is the case, but if you guys have leeway to hire top-notch administrators and have some wiggle room, obviously, we're still constrained, nobody's getting paid great. But if y'all have more leeway there, I would like to, I mean, it'd be nice if we had some more leeway, and you're saying we kind of want a gathering,
You
if
do.
we somewhat do, to hire like top-notch teachers.
are
as
you
opposed to-
saying negotiating?
Yeah, like, so if, that's what I'm getting at, if there's any
And
negotiation.
Jeff, you got a background in that, and I know where you're coming from with that. Here's what I'll say. Paula and Stacy not going to do that. They're going to bring that to me, and I'm going to make a decision based on, who this person is, where they're coming from. And we're not losing good people. And I'll tell you all, just for the record, this year, we're not certainly having that issue at all, because school districts are laying people off.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
so, really, we're not hiring a whole lot of brand new leaders. We're able to go and, for the lack of a
Yes.
better word, hire from other districts right now, seasoned veteran
Yes.
leaders. And we can share with you some names of some folks that are coming from other places that have been mainstays in those districts for years, but they've been given a pink slip or been told you're going to do something next year differently. So we're able to get some really solid people. But we're not going to lose good folks over $1,000 salary.
Good.
Okay, we're not going to do that.
We
Got
have
my word on that.
conversations all the time about positions and, and
But we're careful with that,
We
because
are.
again,
We are.
we need to respect people that's been in this district for 20 years, and they make this. So, we just have to be careful with it, but we are very careful with that. But we don't lose good people behind $500 or else. And we won't.
So one other additional thing that I wanted to say is this was the first year for TRA, so it is being audited greatly, like deep, in depth. Our interim audit, our auditors were here the past 2 weeks. I'm very happy to say it was extremely clean. This is Haley's first audit. She came in and did a great job. And so, but they were really impressed because they took so many samples, and we were proving every single time, this is what their pay was last year, this is what it is. Because to earn this to TRA, you have to be a teacher who is in the classroom for 4 hours a day teaching. You also have to have the years of experience. And so and that has to be audited. And it was kudos to the HR department because they had all of their documents lined up. This is how the years of service are calculated. So I say that to say with transparency and just also with integrity that the way that we are paying this TRA out, being at the very first year, our auditors were extremely happy and they were, can you call this district? Can we use this to show them? Absolutely. They have our teacher pay scale and they're using it as examples to other districts of how this is how it should be.
Good job.
Yeah. Well, it's not, I'm just saying for,
No, for
no,
everybody.
but yeah, I'm very pleased for that. Are there any other questions on this before I move forward? Okay. So now we're going to look at this is our salary increase history for all employees because there's been few times back a couple years ago where certain classifications of employees received different increases. But for the most part, recently, for the past couple years, it's been, the board has chosen to give a salary increase to all employees and not just certain different categories of employees. So for the past 4 years, the board has given 12% of increase and a 5% increase in stipends. And so that is, that's huge, especially right now when I'm in conversations with all the CFOs in Region 4, and we're emailing, we have a list, who is doing what, who is happening and what. Everyone's having these conversations right now, but the most I've heard is most are doing stipends, there's some that are doing nothing, and then you have some that are 1%, and then a very, very few that are doing 2%. That's what's happening right now in our region. But I wanted to provide this to you so you can have a clear understanding of what, when we say a teacher's pay or employee's pay has been, the longer they're here, the more they benefit. So now we will move forward into what it costs for LaPorte ISD. If it's a 1%, 2%, or a 3% raise. These are the options that we provided last year, and so we just thought we'll go ahead and do this. It's a little higher this year because when the board has chosen that when we give a salary, and LaPorte ISD gives a salary, they give it based on the salary. When they give a raise, they give it based on the salary versus on the midpoint to, again, award and honor the longevity of employees. So because you gave a 4% raise last year, thank you, from all employees, it actually increased up, so it's now, I think last year was $550,000 per 1%, now it's 575. So it's just a compounds as you go forward, because raises do not go away, they stay with the employee. So we have 1,161 employees, and 1,000 of those are paid out of the general fund. Then we have 140 that are paid out of other funds, grants, so forth, child nutrition, those types of things. So, but we don't give to one group of employees that's paid out of one fund, we give to all employees in the district. And so a 1% with just what would hit the general fund budget would be an increase of $575,000. Then again, a 2% would be a 1.2 million, and a 3% would be 1.7. Again, it compounds as you go forward, and it stays with the district and stays with our budget. It has to be built in our budget every year going forward. We also have, we were asked to give for a one-time stipend. What would that look like? And you will see, because we have 1,000, we gave 1,000, $1,500, and $2,000 options. We can do any options that you would like us to calculate. These were the ones that we provided last year. So as you can see, we have 1,000 employees, so therefore it would cost $1 million. And then as you go forward up, the way this is a one-time, so therefore it is not compounded in the future. This is a one-time payment of, here is, let's just say a 1%, I mean a $1,000 stipend. It's going to hit this next year's budget one time. For it to be TRS eligible, it has to be paid in 2 different installments. So because it has to be for work that has been completed. So it would be paid in January for July through December 31st, and would be paid in June for January through May. And it would be split in half. And that's that. If it's TRS eligible, that means that stays with the employee's gross pay for their retirement purposes. However, it won't stay with the district going forward.
For the average teacher, $1,000 stipend more than they 1% raise.
Yes,
for
sir.
the year.
Just to be clear, you say number of employees, this is just salaried employees, it's not.
No, this is every
Everybody.
employee. This is not including substitutes, but this is every employee that is either hourly or salaried. Yes, sir. Is there any questions on this page? And that is really the topics that the board asked us to cover. So we're available and happy to answer anything that we can for you.
So we'll entertain any questions you have or recommendations or thoughts based on all the information you received tonight.
We're going to do anything as far as something for all employees. I would like to see a stipend rather than salary increases with us for a while. I think the masters and stipends are appropriate. We're seeing. You want to touch on?
Elevating the program specifically. I would like to explore the idea of putting them in their own pay grade. I know in the past when we've talked about giving those particular pairs a raise, the conversation went to, well, we would have to give everyone in the pay grade, and I just think it seems more reasonable to have this group of people in their own pay grade, because what they do is so different. You know, it's toileting, it's getting, you know, there's things that go along with that some of the other people that are in that particular pay grade won't. It would be, I mean, I don't know that a lot of other districts do that, but it would be something that I think would make it easier for us to have that conversation when we talk about giving. Notice that you didn't have.
Of all the ones I have in my life, I couldn't find this one, and it was driving me crazy.
But Karen, if I may just ask, you know, is there something specific? Because last year, we took care of program paras and
Did we
did
give
not
them a
take care of
stipend?
everybody, am I correct?
Not,
We gave them a stipend.
Yes,
We did.
last year,
We gave them a
yes.
stipend, but I just, looking at what our neighboring districts are paying, and I understand they're larger districts, but if I'm a paraprofessional making $14 an hour, and I can go to Pasadena making
Go back to that slide.
whatever it is,
16 or something.
I am not trying to rationalize why LaPorte's paying less, I just know I need to make. And so I just feel like that, those are, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, y'all all know this. Those are positions, sometimes it's hard for us to keep, and I realize that. It's tiring work. People always say, you've got to really, it takes a special person, and it really does, and they're not just at every corner, so, just whatever we can do. And that population's growing, and which means we need more of them.
Yeah, we may.
So that's just.
And I would also note that
Experienced, yes.
23, 24, the minimum in that pay grade was 14. 24, 25, it was 14. 25, 26, it was 14. We haven't adjusted that.
We gave them a stipend last year instead of
Right.
testing. And part of that
We moved
conversation.
it
Part of that
22.
conversation was because they would have to give everyone in that pay grade that raise, and so that's why
That
I'm
was
asking.
a lot more people.
Yes,
Right.
we could explore putting those in their
Yeah, we
own
look into
pay
that.
grade.
we can.
Maybe a
absolutely just
3A
do
and a
that.
3B.
Okay, well, if we put them in if they're on paper, but
I don't know, see, that, I would doubt that's.
Let us
We have to look at these, I
explore,
guess.
let us explore putting them into a pay grade and then looking at, what
We're gonna need
kind of like what we
some,
did tonight, give you a couple of examples of what one might look
Kind of like
like.
bus
Billy?
drivers.
If I might just add something, since we're talking about personal care primarily, if that's what I'm understanding, I think that if we were to do something like that, perhaps we would take ECSC paras and focus and make them their own, because BSP and SAIL are not doing.
That's true, they're not doing as much.
So,
Yeah.
yes, they deal with hard behaviors, no doubt about that, but the personal care piece, and I think that that's probably what you're going for is as far as the most difficult part of the job.
Yes.
In addition to behavior, which we know can happen in the life skills setting, but that personal care piece is definitely the most difficult, and that would be your ECSC and your focus codes.
But in order to make it a cleaner break, you're going to have some 187 in this grade whatever we call it, and then you're going to move some 187s in with these 200s. Is that what you're saying?
but I want to know why they're all in pay grade 3. Sort of non-discriminatory thing. Why these are in pay grade 1, pay grade 2, pay grade 3. I think if we start giving out individual roles,
Skill
crumble
sets.
somewhere.
I think what I'd like for you to allow us to do is to go back and take the recommendations that you have, and then us to bring something back, and we don't have to wait until we come back together as this way. I can put something in my board update for you once we get it, and it'll just be a executive summary, then you can at least look at it and give me individual feedback should you need. Okay? Try to do that.
We have the teachers, is there a max pay grade?
No,
Okay, so to me, I guess you a couple issues. The max pay grade, the max they can, if I'm reading this correctly, they can get $20.17. That's barely above the starting pay of a bus driver. So that's a problem for me. Another problem or two
are we talking about
is,
that?
I don't think we should be proud that we're in the bottom third of those 9 districts that we compare ourselves against. When we can do better. We have 64. I don't know how many, so in the recruitment world, a full-time employee is 2,080 hours a year. So how many hours are we a pair of these pairs working?
Are we talking about
They work
regular paras?
187 days.
But 187 days, how many hours does that equate to?
187 times 8, anybody?
Right.
I got it. So that's 14, so that's 2 times 2. Talking about another maybe $2,900 per pay if we bumped it up to the $16, a $2 increase, right? It's going to break our bank. So to me, every year we get more and more. Go back to my other point. We get more money from the state for special education kids, of which every year you all told us that population is rapidly increasing. So these teachers, if I would work in the school district, God bless anybody that does, how hard it is, I'd want somebody that is a proficient good-hearted person, I don't care if you're like, what's focus, any of them, like, that is a very difficult job, as is being a teacher, but if I was a teacher, I'd want somebody that's competent, not somebody that like, you can go wait more money right now at McDonald's starting pay. That's just a reality of the world that we live in, right? So if we can fix, I know we want to save money, but like, I don't think this is the best opportunity for us to save money. We talk about this every single year ad nauseum, and the $525, that equates to $43.75 a month. That does nothing. That pays for a third of my gas tank.
And I'm not arguing with you, Jeff, but that's what the board recommended.
No, I'm saying, I'm just telling you, like, for me now, I do not recommend that. I think this is embarrassing that we're in the bottom third
Yeah.
of this chart right here. It's embarrassing that the most they can get is $20 an hour. That's sad.
So can
So-
Well,
I,
the other thing, Jeff, to even further that, is that we haven't made any adjustments to any of
Right,
these
since
para.
since
Everybody
then.
else in this room can get a max pay. We had Mike Boston working for 95 years. And God bless him for that. But like, every year he could build up, and these guys get capped at $20. That's not
Yeah,
great.
and I think
They don't
We
get
haven't
tapped.
adjusted the
They-
para pay
they-
grade
no.
in 3 years.
It doesn't get
Respond,
tapped.
and then
Yes.
we're gonna take your recommendations, and we're gonna bring you some ideas back.
Bring some
Yes,
numbers.
We're gonna bring you some numbers back.
Yes.
so I think when you're looking at that mid-max, you think max, they can never
They
make
can
over
make more than
$20.
that, 30,000.
Absolutely not. That, it continues on. Again, as y'all give raises, as y'all whatever, you have employees that are making much more than the
Than that max.
$20.
So that's what I'm confused about then. So that's what I asked, like, so is there a
Mid-max
cap?
is when someone is hired in.
That's a
This is a
hiring-
hiring schedule.
That's a hiring schedule.
This is not what this
Thank you for
person
the
is.
clarity.
But, yeah,
That's what-
but just to be clear, if we're paying 1431 and that's our mid-max, and Alvin is paying 1520, their mid-max is going to be larger than ours. And-
But we own that. We will own that. We haven't moved that minimum. And
Right.
we
And so-
can certainly deal with that.
But
We
I
own
mean,
that.
we made that choice.
Yeah.
I'm not
We didn't-
fussing
we
at
didn't touch
anybody.
it in the last
I'm
3
just
years.
saying, look at, when you
was a
look at
good
it all in
decision.
front of you, it's
Yeah.
like, wow,
It was a poor decision, but
we should have
I
adjusted
feel like we
that.
need to start looking at, because again, like I said earlier, and I think Jeff and I are saying the same thing, is that if I'm a paraprofessional and I can go to Pasadena and make $16,
Or go work at Buc-ee's.
Or work
Yeah.
at, well, gosh, we could all go work at Buc-ee's, right? They make
Yeah.
all that money, but I just feel like we need to be a little more competitive, because we have an excellent special education program here in this district. There's a billboard somewhere that says so. And I mean, it's a great reputation that we have, and because of that, we get a lot of people purposely moving to our district because they have students in special education. We need to make sure that we live up to that. And that is a hard, as I've said before, that's a very difficult job, the personal care. And, I mean, it's hard to keep people doing something like that if they, I mean, they love the kids. They're not all there just for the money. But boy, a lot of them can't afford to live if they don't make a little. We just
Well,
want to be competitive.
Right, and the purpose of the night is for you to give us those recommendations. So what will happen is we'll go back and we'll go sit down and we'll work through this, and these people will make that happen, and Billy will help with some of that. And I think the recommendation you made about EC, and Focus, ECSE and Focus, we'll do that. And what I'll do is provide that to you in an executive summary, so we don't have to wait until there's another public meeting.
Right.
I can communicate with the board in an executive summary, and then you can give me feedback, individual feedback on, yes, I think this is great, I think this still needs to be, and we'll work through that. And then the next time we come together in a public setting, maybe we will already have kind of hammered some of these things out for you. Right? We're not trying to shortchange anybody, but we also are trying to do everything we can to kind of keep things at bay so that we can continue to move forward.
I will say that one of these neighboring districts, I'm not going to say the name, had something on social media the other day trying to hire paraprofessionals and said their starting salary was almost $2 than what the chart says. And let me tell you, get your popcorn and go read the comments, because everybody in that district, those neighbors, those citizens, were saying, we have all this money and this is what we pay people. How can they pay their rent? How can they whatever? Like, they were getting, I'm thinking, ooh, I bet they said they ran that ad, because all it did was backfire.
Just think we won't be running that.
Yeah, don't run that ad.
Because I love that we
It was rough.
We have put so much time, energy, and effort, and dollars into our facilities. We are top notch across the board. We built the most expensive stadium in the state, right? So, and that's you and I know, we know that's different money. I get it. But like, it would be really nice to set the tone and the leader in something outside of facilities.
Agreed.
That, I don't care what it is, this is the one that we just talk about every single year.
Let's
around
be the
those boards.
trailblazer.
Why can't we just, and as soon as we set that tone, I understand we're gonna like, it's gonna come and pass us up. But we talk about every year starting teacher pay, we gotta be competitive, we gotta, keep up with the Joneses. We never talk about keeping up with the Joneses with this. That's what I don't understand.
And I just have a quick question for Billy. I know at the bridge, the adult transition, some of the adults, kiddos that move over there also need personal care. We would probably want to include them as well.
They are part of it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I, maybe you and I can speak separately. I just really have a hard time. Again, I know that personal care requires a lot, but I know some sales students who are day after day after day, extremely hands-on, as much as possible. So I think the whole.
That's kind of why I lumped them all together.
Because I was just giving someone a little bit more,
Yeah.
don't fall into multiple categories.
Options are good things.
Especially our littles, in the behaviors and the sale and behaviors, the littles
I just want to understand it
need
better
a lot more
to make sure
of that one-on-one. As we do such a good job, by the time they get to the high school, really, they are a little more self-sufficient. We're really just pretty much monitoring. It's rare that we're having to really get in there. But when they're little, we're trying, at that point, it's hands-on. We're trying to teach them the behaviors in order for them to be successful. So I think that's why I was kind of wanting to lump them all in one.
We will have a very strong conversation about that tomorrow, beginning tomorrow. As I said, in the next week or so, you'll have an executive summary, outlines what we're trying to do, and then you can give us additional feedback. But I think, and what we may do is do an aggressive option and a not so aggressive option. Is that fair, Jeff? Sir, and board? An aggressive option and a not so aggressive option, so you can really have something to say, here's really going there, and here's kind of getting us into where we want to go, right?
I do want Mason's point to gain traction in terms of, I think the stipend, in terms of the implications long-term, are good, and it also is a higher net return for the employees on that, rather than the 1%.
What is the board's wishes on stipend? 1, 2, 1.5, 500? Tell us what you want us to kind of.
My whole thing is like, the 1%.
For the staff.
Why are we assuming a 1%?
Well, I'm just asking, we tried to shoot low so that at least you have somewhere to start,
So many people I've talked to
Are not
are
doing
doing
anything.
absolutely nothing
Nothing.
this
I
year.
know, that's what I'm hearing too.
At a
That's what
certain
I'm
point, we
hearing.
also have to be a good neighbor and realize that if our other neighbors are going to do nothing, or do 1% or $1,000 stipend, then sometimes we have to understand that by year. Hey, let's work on retention here, let's work on being a good neighbor, and not being a salary increase, not being in a salary war, because all that's going to do is cripple the rest of our budgets across all of us, all the districts around us. So we can be a trailblazer in some of these aspects, but I think as far as for all the staff, I would like to see $1,000 stipend. Around us. I'll be on even.
I would like to, exactly, I need to see like, how much, if our interest is gonna go 10 or 15%, whatever.
That's what I was just
That's
saying.
$1,000.
That's what I just said, when will we know
We
when
need
our
some,
insurance is
there seems like there's some
going
missing variables to me, like.
Well,
what is
they
the
are,
impact
because this
gonna
is
be
always
on-
early, Jeff. You're
Yeah.
absolutely
This is
right.
just to give us a-
We always start this process early, and we sadly never have all of those data ready so that we can say, here's what it is. Because this board, in the years I've been here, has always been very sensitive to the fact that TRS active care may go up. And you've tried to kind of at least meet that, right? Because it's a burden to folks.
But y'all do a pretty good job. I know it's always like a very conservative, right? I'll be all black about that, but I understand the reason. Well, I would like to see, before we make any decision, and I think I'm not opposed to stipend, but maybe the dollar amount is what I'm.
Yeah.
But what the impact it has to our general fund balance. So that's what we'll pay. If we could get as best as we can.
Yeah.
Look like
So it will be at the end of this week. We're hoping May 1st is when,
good. Okay.
it's a lot
Okay.
sooner than it has been in the past. In the
Yeah,
past,
that would
it's
be
been at the
nice.
beginning of
Last year, we
June.
didn't get it towards the end.
And that can,
Yeah.
that
It used to
can
be at the
possibly
end of
be
May,
included in
beginning
the
of June.
executive summary too. Thank
Yes,
you.
so yes, once we get that, we will definitely provide that. And I just, the impact to the fund balance is going to be, it's It's either, it's going to cost $1 million or, 1.5 million or 2 million. That's the impact to the fund balance.
I mean, I
Will
know,
you be getting closer?
You talk to our neighbors, superintendents, what are their boards?
Our neighbors, we've all committed to each other that we would share quietly, we would share what we're thinking. Of course, this is a public meeting, because you're right, sir. We don't want to get into a compensation war and a wage war. We really don't.
And
Some
especially
people
if
are being
they're
laid
having
off,
to
and
go
then some
through
folks,
doing
so
layoffs.
we want to take care of our people. That's not what I'm saying. I
Absolutely.
need my people to hear, we want to take care of my people, and we're going to do that as best as we can. But we also don't, this is not the year to be bragging. This is the year to kind of take care of your people, and, right? This is the year to take care of your people and be, I hate to say that word, but conservative as you can be, because there are some unknowns with the legislature getting ready to come back in January
Right.
again. And we
Average
just
teacher
never know.
salary in
72,000.
So,
But in other sense, I know that this is like what it is, the direct impact, but I mean like as an overall picture, factor in something, whatever, across the board, like what do we expect if we were to put this, say the $1,000 stipend? How much would our fund balance go down?
It would go down $1 million.
But like factored in all the other things. Just taking that as a one line item thing. I'm going to look at all line items.
Right.
if we gave.
So like
a
all
raise
the
to
cart, like if I
parents.
say like, well, we want to have this, well then we can't have that. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
it does. And with all due respect, tonight, we were just
about
really
how we
prepared to
budget.
talk compensation and not the budgetary piece of it.
Right.
And so that next meeting we're gonna have is gonna be
Budget.
more where we can show you how, and I can do some of that in the executive summary, but we didn't have all of those pieces, because tonight I wanted to hear, what do you want us to go start working on? Because then we
And I
can
think
focus on our
that's-
bottom line.
I do have to, I know I have to apologize because when I come into this, I feel like I have to make a decision right now. I have to-
You don't.
And that's not what
You
this
don't
is.
have to.
This is just.
This
having
is
to
tell us
discuss
what you want us to
information,
start
getting
focusing.
information.
Yeah.
We just need
Information
direction.
you've
We need
given
some
us, what else
direction.
we need to
Yeah.
tweak. So
We need
that's
some
where.
direction. And so
Well, yeah,
we've
it
gotten
is-
some of it.
Yeah, it is hard to work with budgets
Yeah.
of different things and you're all the numbers. It is kind of hard to think about it, but we'll see the numbers.
So-
But the
Yeah.
compensation piece
Yeah.
will provide all of that vision for us to
Well, if we're not going to do $1,000 stipend, if we're working those plans, I would recommend
2%
better.
raise or 2%?
raise or stipend.
Fine.
You
No,
can.
no, we can't.
You
We just want clarity.
That's what I would recommend. I
So,
mean, it saves the districts a little bit, and most teachers would.
what's the
It's such a good idea, so you can, so instead of doing like a set dollar amount, you can do it like, especially they get a
To
raise
me,
that year,
that
like
makes
once
more
more year.
sense to do a percent stipend.
If you did a 2%, you're saving the district
Didn't I say there's no?
Jeff, ask that question again, because I couldn't.
Sorry, no, I never thought about that. Every time we've ever talked about stipends, it's a set dollar amount across the board, right? So what he's proposing is percentage, so like last year we did 4%, so we did 4% this year. Now, I'm not proposing this, we did 4% of the stipend, so they get the same raise, but that's not something we're on the hook for the next year. But is that a possibility?
it is a possibility, yes.
To me, that makes more sense, because if I'm a teacher that's been here, I'm just throwing this out there, if I'm a teacher that's been here 20 years, and I'm a teacher, and I get 1,000, and the person that just got here gets 1,000, I could see,
Right.
but if you could do the percentage,
It's a bigger dollar amount
it is a bigger dollar amount,
overall.
but you're right, we're
Well, this
not,
says it's 1.3 million.
Yeah,
but we don't have
it's actually
to,
not.
we don't
It's a
have to
lesser
stay
dollar.
with it.
It just,
Yeah.
it's divvied out
It's
different.
bigger than the
Because the
$1,000.
2% for a para is totally different than the 2% for a teacher.
Yeah.
Got it, yeah,
That's
okay.
the reason why it was a base amount across, because you wanted to honor the hourly employees.
And it would still have to be, stipend would also be out in 2
It
parts,
absolutely
correct?
does.
So-
For it to be TRS
It would be
eligible.
just like a stipend, but we would just calculate it different.
But the good thing about a
The
stipend.
thing is, the para is going to get 2% of what their
Yeah, they're not
salary
getting,
is.
yeah, I see, I can see the,
But aren't you
Well, that's
saying,
different issues.
aren't you saying do the stipend if we're gonna give them a raise?
he was saying.
Then we- I
he
mean,
was
if
saying
you give the
instead of
pairs a
1,000.
raise.
I would say if
stipend.
you're not going to do a $1,000 raise, which I don't like it, doesn't benefit. I also, what's 199 is
No, 199 is general fund.
Oh.
Other funds are child nutrition,
Grants.
yeah, grants.
Yeah, but if we adjust, it's two different issues. If we adjust the for era, pay, whatever, and then come back in with the stipend, then Great. No?
Well, if it's,
It would depend.
it would
because-
depend.
Because if it's a percentage off the salary, it would be based on the 25, 26 salary.
Right.
Which is the way we've always calculated.
But
Yes.
then next,
They wouldn't get a double dip.
Right.
That we would not recommend anyone getting a double dip, because that's when you get morale issues.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll put those out there, yeah.
I think it's cleaner to just do an amount on the stipend. That way,
Sounds like you,
the AC person, the tech person, the
yeah. I-
whatever, everybody is,
I mean, on the surface, the
all is
percentage
all.
sounded good when it came to experience, but when you start thinking about all the other stuff,
Just think all means all.
Just my 2 cents, and I don't think much, but I don't necessarily feel like the need to starting pay, like it did me today. We've already done a lot of hiring, right? I don't know what the percentage is, like where we are now, and by the time we do our budget, it seems like a lot of these people, district, they already know our starting pay.
Right.
Right, and so I don't, you talk about all the world being crazy, so it seems at least to me that we shouldn't have to adjust the starting pay.
And we have not even, and we've not made that recommendation either, so
No.
we're all in agreement.
is still, it's a real, okay, so
Well,
we're not suggesting an
yeah, we're not-
increase in
we're not
starting
saying
pay,
No.
right? Okay.
All right now.
That's,
No, I mean, I'm as of right now.
Anything else, board, for us?
Give direction.
We've got
So-
folks taking notes too
Yeah.
as y'all are talking.
we can also listen back if we need
Friday
to.
faces next.
This is good. This is what gives us direction. And Dan, you guys are right. We have not touched that stuff.
Gave a percentage stipend increase last year.
Yes, we did.
That's staying the same. I mean,
We recommend that it does, because a lot of districts are losing their stipends. And so the fact, we don't want to get into the situation where we have to take someone's stipend or decrease it by half.
We're not having to. If
We-
did
we're not
2%
doing
last year, it's
anything
not
to it.
gonna
We
do
did
it.
5%.
No, it's,
That's what I know.
yeah,
It's
so
just
our
staying the same.
recommendation is that we
Yeah.
would keep that the same, and that the teacher pay scale would stay the same.
Is the master's and doctoral stipends included?
They stayed
stay
at
the
1,000, 2,000. Yes.
The 5%.
We did not increase
We
that.
didn't change that.
We ever get word on the insurance, additional pay that we,
We do not qualify, are you talking about the property insurance? We do not qualify because we are on one campus outside. One campus is on a boundary, on the other side of the boundary. We needed to have a certain number of campuses on this side of the boundary, and we were off by one.
College Park.
It's always something.
so would the DA, if that were the case, the old DA Broadway, would, if that would reopen for some purpose?
It would have to be a campus that has a TEA number, like it has to be its own standalone campus. It
Was the
can't-
EAP a standalone?
It was.
I don't know why I was here.
It was not. That. I'm not sure, because now it's been 3 years ago.
I'm just wondering, like, I don't know the numbers behind it,
Yeah.
like, if we currently have that building on our taxable surveillance money.
Kate's not here now, but I thought the AEP connected in some way to the high school. Am I correct in that, Julie?
It makes sense that it
That's-
would be.
And that's why I didn't want to answer that. I see some folks
It would
shaking
make
their
sense that
heads.
it would be
Yeah.
because
I
we
think it
could
was,
send.
the number was connected to the high school.
Send curriculum and
Because
stuff.
that's how we could send a kid there from the high school. Okay? That's how we send our kids from the high school there, so. I'm willing
If it
to,
tells
whatever it
whatever
takes,
it
right?
calls.
Whatever it takes. Anything else, board? Anything else that you would like for us to explore? Investigate for you?
What are the positions that are the most hardest to fill at this time? Like, just in any of our paras or any of our, do we have bus drivers? Do we have cafeteria workers? Do we have custodial staff?
Yeah, I mean, we typically have some vacancies in all of those areas. Are you talking about specifically for like manual trades or like teachers?
What's a hard?
Yeah, manual trades and stuff. What are we, I guess non-certified.
Okay. I mean, bus drivers, we typically have, several vacancies in bus drivers. We're doing very well in manual trades right now, like in our maintenance department. Just have a couple of vacancies there. We're really good staffed on, or we're really well staffed on custodial right now. I would say child nutrition, and they constantly are getting subs in to go to full-time. I would say bus drivers, that's kind of where we typically, have our most vacancies.
Do different there, or is that just? I know it is everywhere, and I know some of it. I
And
was
part of the
told had to
variable
do
is
with
it's
the
just really
test.
hard to get the CDL
I was going to
license.
say it's the test.
Yeah, I'm not negating that, they
Right.
want more money, but
Yeah.
it's just hard to get that CDL license.
And we have a
It's not easy.
trainer in the department who, we
They're doing a good
hire,
job of
we
training
hire
them.
bus driver trainees who want to get their CDL. We hire them at a certain rate, and then they work towards their CDL. And then once they complete that, then, we bump them up to the full bus driver pay. And that's been a pretty successful program for us.
Where do they go to take their CDL? Do we?
And we send them over to DPS.
Did any of those bus technicians? We gave them a bonus.
We
if they
gave them a
completed.
stipend. We can find that
I
out.
know that we've had some of them completing some classes, but as far as actually completing, I can check that.
What about, weren't we looking at some smaller buses for smaller routes where we require seatbelts?
Every time it's
Or-
So those are those 14 passengers.
Yes.
Approved. So what we're looking to do, we're always running.
Yes.
Some of those driver positions. And to our CDL to drive those buses.
So you're gonna start driving a bus?
So we are taking applications.
We might, hey, we're all in.
You know I'm retired, I think I can drive a bus.
Yeah, we think we can use you too.
Well, how about the district that was going to hire Uber drivers to take their kids and put it out there, or not Uber drivers?
They're gonna be a
just
big help, aren't they, Bobby?
They will help.
Yeah, I think that will
They're
help.
gonna be a big help.
That'll be helpful.
All right, board, I know that we have a lot of, there's a couple other events going on simultaneously tonight. So I don't want to cut anybody short, but if you don't have any other questions, Dr. Jackson, do y'all have anything you want?
No, sir, I think we've captured what it is you want us to kind of explore. And again, we'll get you an executive summary in the next week or so. And then whatever is not what to your liking, you communicate with me one-on-one, right? So that I can work on that, all right? But we think we have some marching orders. And then the next time we meet together in a workshop setting, it'll be to discuss budget. And so we'll actually go through some of those line item things that you've talked about, and we'll bring some of these things back to you. All right?
All right, we appreciate the opportunity to discuss this tonight. We will now adjourn at 6:12.
Hey, board, y'all look at this. That packet I gave
Yeah,
y'all?
no, that's good.
But it's funny because I didn't know
Oh, my goodness. I understand.
But yeah, we just did this, we went to market feasibility study. So we paid our staff on a 10-year scale.